Hello and welcome to another Be.Tech.Construction lecture. This is on the Industry Foundation class file, also called an IFC file. The first thing you need to think about when thinking about the IFC file is there is not just one BIM software. The most common is probably Revit, but there are many different softwares made just by Autodesk, let alone different companies such as Bentley, making things such as MicroStation, Dassault Systems making SolidWorks. We've got Trimble that make Tekla and SketchUp. Graphisoft makes ArchiCAD. So we've got these many different companies making many different BIM softwares. So if we've got all these different software, try and think about the fact that we have many different file types. We have the DWG with AutoCAD, the RVT with Revit, which also has an RFA. Navisworks has an NWC, an NWD, an NWF. SketchUp has an SKP, which should be over there with Trimble now. It's not Google anymore, sorry. We've got 3ds Max with the 3ds file. And as you can imagine, each different software has one or more file types that it uses. So what you need to try and understand is if you're working in one software such as Revit with an RVT file, you can't necessarily open that file with one of the other softwares mentioned in the slide before, or any of the other BIM softwares that are available. So try to think of it this way: what happens if you try and open a Microsoft Word document in Microsoft Excel? You're going to get a dialog box that says the assignment file format is not valid. So you are working in a Word document file, you just try and open it straight up in Excel, it's going to say that the file format is not valid. This is the exact kind of problem that we're going to get with all the different file types in BIM software. Just because they're BIM doesn't mean that you can open someone else's file if you're using a different software from them. One way round this problem of this Word and Excel issue is you might be able to export your Word document as an XPS document that may be openable in Excel, for example. So sometimes we can export to particular files that can be opened by other BIM software, and that's where the IFC is. That's where we're heading with this idea of the IFC. Problems with exporting. If you see here, we have a lovely looking spreadsheet, very detailed, color coded, pie charts, all sorts of labels, and it's looking very professional and obviously very useful. The problem is when we export this to a different file type and open it up in a new software, it might not look the way that we wish it to look. The computer might not know the difference between these two things right in front of you. The information is the same as far as the computer is concerned, but there's been loss of information along the way of the exchange, and the second one doesn't look like the first one, and it isn't going to be useful to people trying to use that information in a construction project. So you can pause the video to read this now if you wish. There's some information on the Industry Foundation class, but in a nutshell, the point is whatever software you're using in BIM, you export. If you're trying to get your file to somebody who has software that can't read your file, you export to the IFC file. Everybody, all softwares can export to the IFC file. 150 software applications, all the main BIM softwares can export to the IFC file, and all softwares can open the IFC file, or at least link it in some way to their software. So you are working in Revit with an RVT, you wish to open it up in SketchUp. SketchUp will not open an RVT, so what you do is you export your RVT, your Revit file, to an IFC file, which will then be able to be opened by SketchUp. That's the idea behind the IFC file, the Industry Foundation class. It's a way of us all being able to work in BIM on a project with multiple software applications. Problems with the IFC file are exactly the same as we've already discussed. There is loss of information at some point during the exchange. The file that you receive as an IFC file is never as detailed as the original from where it was exported from. So for that reason, IFC files are not for editing, they should be used as a reference model. So if you are using Revit and somebody sends you an ArchiCAD file that is IFC, link it into your model by all means, and you'll be able to see a lot of the graphics, but you wouldn't be able to edit that model. It's a reference model, so you'll be able to see, for example, if they sent you an IFC of a load of pipework, you would be able to see their intention of where all their pipework was going, and say if you were designing the ductwork, you could see their intention and design your ductwork so that it does not clash with that pipework, but you couldn't continue working with that pipework. There's too much loss of information at some point during the exchange. If you come across this in the industry, you'll know what I'm talking about. But the IFC file is not for editing, it should be a reference model. And I hope that gives a quick explanation as to what the IFC file or Industry Foundation class file is. Please check out my channel for more tutorials on BIM, mental health in construction, maths and science behind construction, among other topics. Thank you. Bye-bye.